10 minutes. T-minus 9 minutes. T-minus 8 minutes. T-minus 7 minutes. T-minus 6 minutes. minus 5 minutes. Minus for minutes. Minus 3 minutes. Minus 2 minutes. Minus 1 minute.
How about that?
Heyo! Happy Thursday, everybody, wherever you're tuned in from, to the farmers in the fields, the ships at sea, and wherever you may be tuned in on the Game Plus television network and streaming. Maybe it's podcast form, whatever. It's Canada's favorite daytime sports talk show coming at you. And I am in the Golden Ticket Sports Center, as you can see. Our beautiful and talented co-host, Darren Moose DuPont, is in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, otherwise known as the center of the universe. And we'll be getting to him. There he is. Moose, if you're ready to go, I want to jump right into this. The Quick Six show horn. I'm going to tell the viewers our guest is Jersey Jim Biringer, coming up in hour 2. A lot of NHL talk in hour 2. But number one, Darren, I'm coming to you hot with this one out of Toronto. A wild pitch from New York Yankees reliever Devin Williams scored George Springer and Addison Barger, followed with a run-scoring single in the 8th to lift the Toronto Blue Jays to a wild 11-9 win over the Pinstripes on Wednesday night. With their third straight win to open this 4-game series at Rogers Center, the Blue Jays have pulled into a tie with New York for first place in the AL East and can take it over tonight with a win at Rogers Center. That city must be going bonkers.
Man, it is exciting. And, the city is going nuts. And that game was so much fun last night. And, I was watching the game with some people, and I was out last night, and it's 8-0. And I'm like, wow, the Jays are rolling, especially after the Canada Day big game they had too in the first 2 games of the series. And then I looked at them like, it's only the 4th inning. They could still blow this, It's only the 4th inning. Sure enough, the Yankees come back. Everybody's getting nervous. And then the Jays found a way. And, man, the atmosphere inside Rogers Center was electric. But that's when you see, we wonder if this team is for real. And I will preface this. It's still only July. Like, more than any other sport, baseball is a marathon, right? More than any other sport. All the games, you got to play well into October. It's only July. But a team that I wrote off, I thought was going to be done by May. You said May, I think June. We had no expectations. When you can find a way to win a game where you blow an 8-0 lead, that's a sign that this team might actually be okay and might be a team that's going to be exciting for a while here. That was fun.
Oh, yeah. Oh, the broadcast is great. And I just want to tell people I should have done this on Canada Day, but I took the day off in terms of this show and writing. But had I done my commentary, and also on the radio, I guess I wasn't on the radio either. There are so many great things in Canada that people take for granted. Being able to have Tim Hortons every day is one of them, unless you live in Atlanta, because they have 3 Tim Hortons there. Another is watching Blue Jays baseball on Sportsnet, which I've been watching every night this week, watching all these games. And Buck Martinez, get well soon, Buck. I don't know if you saw, they put a message up on the broadcast the other night from Buck saying, hey, I'm okay, but had a slight setback, and it's best for me to rest at this time. It doesn't feel right that the Blue Jays are going on a run without Buck around. I guess he's not going to be there forever, but we love him when he is. And Dan Shulman is the greatest announcer in baseball right now. Yeah, it's exciting for the Blue Jays. And the other thing is, we talked about this the other day with Matthew Barnaby yesterday, how the fans are never, ever, ever going to get that the players are just in free agency in it for the money in the National Hockey League. And every league is the same. They question the loyalty. Why would you sign with your longtime rival, Corey Perry with LA? You don't get it. And it's about money, right? And opportunity. Who cares what happened in the past? Now, the other thing about where people are never going to get it, when the Blue Jays jumped out to that 7-0 lead over the Yankees last night, of course, I'm like an idiot surfing Twitter. And what are they saying? Yankees fans, New York media, fire the manager. Aaron Judge sucks. Just going off, right? Because it's New York. And while I admire the expectations, how dare we give up 7 runs in the first inning? Oh, my God. And then, as you say, they come back and had the lead. Unbelievable ball game last. But the point is, what I say, Darren, don't tweet mid-game. Don't do it. In any sport, don't do it. And I still catch myself from time to time, but you got to wait till the game ends. Nobody can wait, Darren. Nobody can wait. They got to get their thoughts out during the game.
You do. You can't wait. And both positive and negative, right? That's the celebrating on the 1 yard line, right?
Yes.
It's not over yet. or the opposite of that, giving up on your team when you're down early in the ball game. I mean, there's lots of game left, and that is what makes sports so great. The people who stick around to the end. For Yankees fans, the ones who stuck around and watched that game and got to see the great comeback, but then the Jays fans who didn't jump off a cliff when they blew the lead, stuck with them, and you get to see that big win. That's what's fun.
It was wild watching it on television last night. Toronto, it's going to be electric tonight for the finale. If the Jays pull off the sweep of the dreaded Yankees, oh my God, what drama here on July 3rd, which, by the way, I thought it was July the 4th. 4th of July, as we say in America. I was sending messages out to all my friends. They're like, Rod, check the calendar. Don't! I said, when you live one day at a time, every day is New Year's Day, and why I thought today was the 4th of July, I have no idea. But just one more footnote on the baseball, because this is filling up my feed too, and people now see me as a baseball guy, so they're writing me about Clayton Kershaw. He became the 20th pitcher with 3,000 strikeouts when Vinny Capra of the Chicago White Sox took a slider for a called third strike for the final out of the 6th inning. Kershaw waved to his wife and 4 children in the stands and then patted his heart and mouthed, "Thank you." The game was delayed while a tribute video played. So congratulations to Clayton Kershaw. While we have time here in this opening segment, this is my second point. It'll carry over into the next segment. 806 Sports down there in Amarillo, Texas. I was back on the air this morning, Darren, on 806 Sports, FM Sports Radio in Amarillo, Texas. Here are the names of the hosts, Kenny, Dusty, and Jesse. And they brought me on today to talk, to be honest, about my history in the recovery world and overcoming alcoholism and how I help people now with it. But they don't ever get to talk hockey, and the questions they fired at me were amazing. So I'll carry this right into the break, so you just think as I'm talking. They had a million questions about hockey. It was amazing. Amarillo, what I tell you, in the USA, I'm known as the hockey guy. In Canada, I'm known as the football guy. It is what it is. They asked me if Sidney Crosby is going to be traded anywhere. That morphed into Sidney's current contract of $8.7 million, and they brought up Tom Brady taking less money to win all those Super Bowls with the Patriots, and how Sidney's taken less money in Pittsburgh, and how did that work out with 3 Stanley Cups? So when we come back, that will be our poll question today, and trust me, all the CFL fans, I'm saving the more time to talk more CFL, so just don't get your panties in a bunch. But the poll question is, should Connor McDavid take less money on his next contract to help out the Edmonton Oilers salary cap? And I said to them, I got to be very careful with how I approach this, because I'd be hung from the tallest tree in Canada if for whatever reason accuse Connor McDavid of anything like being selfish or something like that. That's not what I'm saying. But maybe he should take less money. Think about it, and we'll be right back. We're live on Game Plus, streaming live.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Hi, my name is Logan Stankoven. And I'm Connor Bedard. We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB. Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Shania Twain.
Let's go, girls.
Live in Moose Jaw. Shania Twain. One incredible show. Live at Temple Garden Center, July 7th. With special guest, Lindsay L. Get tickets Friday, March 21st at 10 a.m. at the Temple Garden Center's box office or sasktix.ca. For more, visit shaniatwain.com.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
Okay, welcome back, everybody. Live from the Golden Ticket Sports Center in, if I can read the card here, Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan. And the Western Dodge text, there we go. Western Dodge text line is open, 902-518-3033. Darren, we got to get some call time in, you and I, over the next few days about all the exciting things that are going on. But I do want to say hey to our friends watching in West Texas. I was on Amarillo Sports Radio this morning, 107.1 FM. 806 Sports, and that's where all these topics came up, and they seem to like us down there. And you'll get a kick out of this, Darren. On the weekend, I called Perry Nias, my oldest friend in this radio business, to tell him about the Mark Chestnut concert. And I said, Perry, what would you say to us flying down to Texas, renting a truck, and just driving around the state, and just going to all these Amarillo, Laredo? He goes, can we go tomorrow? I'm like, well, no, probably we'll do a little planning, but this will require some plan. But we're going to do it, Texas. We're coming to see you, me and my good friend, Imus. Okay, the question before we went to break was, should Connor McDavid take less money to help out the Oilers cap? Because you know he's going to be the highest paid player in the game 1 year from now. Or will he be? How you answering that, Moose?
So I was thinking about this a lot. And I'll say it's a really complex question, but yep. I'm going to give you a simple answer. Yes, he should take less money. That's my answer. Yes. Now, it comes with a whole whack of caveats because what we've heard from Connor McDavid is all about organizational direction, right? What is the organization's plan for the future? He wants to win. So we're hearing they're having meetings about the organizational future. They're low on draft picks. They're low on cap space. They're low on all these things. So I think right now we're deciding if Connor McDavid's going to commit to the Oilers. But I'm going to assume that he's on board with the organizational plan. Because if he's going to sign, he's on board with that. And if he's on board with that, then and he wants to win, then he should take less money to put the team in the best position to win. And I also think Connor McDavid should or could just go after short contracts. He doesn't need an 8-year deal. He's always going to be, I believe, to be the best player in the game and command top dollar. So just sign for 2 years at a time. Take less money. See how that window for a championship is progressing as you go. And if it's not, then you have all these options to leave or do what's best for you.
I voted that yes, he should. And so the poll question is for EMJ Marketing. Again, should Connor McDavid take less money to help the Oilers cap? 65% of respondents are saying no, he shouldn't. 35% are saying yes. And because we have so many viewers up in that Edmonton region, and there's Oiler fans, millions of them around the world, that's specifically what I would like to answer this question. Number one, Leon Draisaitl's already signed for the bag. So what's he supposed to make less than Leon? Like, I think it's very dangerous tying up all this money in a small amount of players. I'm sorry. I understand why you're doing it, but it didn't work out very good for the Leafs. Tony in Cochrane, Alberta, writes in, he says, I voted yes, McDavid should take less money. It took more than just Gretzky to win those 4 cups in 5 years in the 80s, as they are now seeing. And on Amarillo Sports Radio this morning, we talked about the Patriots and Brady. Tom was famous for taking less money. And how did that work out? And I guess they quoted Robert Kraft, I guess, as somewhere along the way has said his biggest regret is allowing Brady to leave and then Belichick, because it's been terrible since. Wayne in BC says, if I was Connor McDavid, I'd take a hometown discount. But I'm not a millionaire hockey player and don't know what a decent discount would be. Is that a hometown discount, Darren? He's from Toronto. Like, I know it's July and we got to move on and talk some football, but a hometown discount, yeah, because it's your current team, I guess. But the thing is, if he were to go to the Leafs, which, be honest, it's the only other team he would go in free agency is Toronto, right? He's not going to go anywhere else. If it's not Edmonton, where would Connor McDavid play?
I don't know. It's a great question. I would think, like, the Toronto thing I get, and it's, because he's from there, played in the OHL, all the rest. I get all that. And I understand wanting to play for the place you grew up and in front of family and friends. But maybe somewhere, could go to LA, team that's, kind of moving up and playing really well. Could go somewhere like that, like somewhere, maybe a San Jose with a young core if they grow in like 3 to 5 years from now and become a team that can contend, go somewhere like that to try and win. But here's the thing. When people talk about the hometown discount, it's easy. I say you and I mean, our viewers and just everybody else. It's easy to say, well, geez, if you're throwing $15 million at me, I would take 10 million just to be a winner. Okay. But I'm not making near that. I'm not making $1 million. So 10 million is a huge raise, big deal. Think about your current situation. This is a challenge to the viewers. You're making $50,000 a year, $75,000 a year, $150,000 a year. Would you take 25% less tomorrow on what you're making today in order to have a better workplace culture and in order to have an organization that's, more fun to work, better place to be? Would you take a pay cut tomorrow? And I don't think most of you would. I don't think you'd go from making $50,000 to $40,000 or $75,000 to $65,000 just to be able to bring on a couple more staff members that are going to help your organization. I just don't think you do it. So it's not an easy question when it comes to taking pay cuts for these pro athletes.
No. By the way, on the topic of flying into Texas and driving around with my buddy Perry, Bomber Boy writes in, he says, trucking around Texas is like trucking around Saskatchewan. Wide open spaces. Oh, it's not like I haven't been to Texas before. I'm fully aware of that. It looks just like Saskatchewan, but it's not. So, yeah. Don in Navy Don says, I said no because I don't want the Oilers to win another cup. Okay, fair. Moving on to what many people came to watch today, which, by the way, on 806 Sports Radio this morning in Amarillo, they said, Rod, we turned on the television the other night after you'd been on our show and the Rough Riders were on our TV. I said, it's a God shot. They're like, your old team was on CBS Sports Network here in Texas. I can only thank God for that, guys. The Calgary Stampeders host the undefeated Winnipeg Blue Bombers in CFL play tonight. The game has been dubbed the Stampede Bowl, with a custom trophy for the game winner in homage to the Calgary Stampede, which starts Friday and has been a city fixture for over a century. The 2-1 Stampeders look to get back in the win column after a 20-11 loss to Ottawa last week. The Blue Bombers are 3-0. Who wins, Moose?
The Blue Bombers will win tonight. They get Brady Oliveira back in the lineup tonight. I love this idea of the Stampede Bowl, though. You make this part of it, get the Western wear out, which they do in Calgary anyways. This is fun. And for visiting teams to want, like, if I'm a visiting team, I'm going to want to be in the Stampede Bowl and have that on my calendar every year. Go in there, win, and then hit the town for the Stampede afterwards. Why not? I mean, what a great way. And if you could line it up, I don't know what the Bombers have next week. I haven't looked that far ahead. But like if you can line it
the
up,
Riders.
if you could line it up that you roll into the Stampede Bowl and then have a bye week after that where you can really go out on the town, Rod, that would be great and awesome for the CFL. So no, Bombers will win tonight.
Okay, I'm wrong. No, I don't know why I thought they had the Riders. They have a bye after this.
See, there you go.
Yeah.
They can let loose after the game because they don't got to play next week.
I want to drop in my guy Brent from Wellington, Florida's tuned in on the McDavid thing. He says, I'm sorry, but these owners treat these guys as a business. Why should a player take less money to not get the same respect? If they don't produce, they're gone. So make it while you can. Careers are short. Darren said it. It's not an easy conversation. The point is Sidney Crosby has always taken less money. And I feel like, although we don't know him, that's Sidney. I'm not saying Connor McDavid is selfish. I'm not saying that at all. And if he gets the bag and he's the highest paid player in the game, he should be because he's the best player in the game. This is not an easy question. It just came to me this morning. But no, it wasn't even me. It was the guys on the radio in Amarillo, Texas. What the hell is going on? Amarillo, Texas, they're asking what Connor McDavid should sign for. What the hell is going on? Thank you, Mike in Winnipeg. He's watching from Ice Time Sports. He says, bye week, and then the Stampeders after. Michael Wynn. Okay, the exciting part about the Stampede Bowl, and it's in my commentary today because I'm back on the air on Saskatchewan radio after Canada Day off. The Stampeders people always told me forever that they're like, oh, we would never play during the Stampede. And I'm like, makes sense. I never even questioned it. And specifically, it was George Cortez, who you know is a close friend of mine. We all went for lunch. Remember that place in Houston? Capitol Grill, where you got to know George real well. I said, well, Rod, we just can't play at home during Stampede. So usually they go on the road for 2 games down east, or they'll factor in a bye. I got to say, I'm not the kind of loser that's going to say, you said you'd never play during the Stampede, and now you are. Because so many people are like that. Things change. Darren, you're the captain of things change. That's what we'll put on your tombstone when you die. Things change.
Yeah.
Right? It's progress. It's innovation. It's whatever you want to call it. It better be a great crowd tonight. My God, I'd be ticked if I'd be mad at Calgary and Southern Alberta if they weren't. Because I don't think anybody going to the Stampede wants to go to a football game. Like, this can't hurt.
No, but to be honest, when you go to a football game, it's not that dissimilar to going to the rodeo, man. It's wild. It's crazy. There's drinks. There's food. There's, crazy action and danger on the field, collisions and all the rest. You have to build that all around. And, if you can do something where your football ticket gets you into the Midway for free, or, a pass gets you into all these other things, I think it's awesome. And the whole idea of Stampede, you want to be a part of it, a part of that city, get people into the stadium. I think it's great. I hope the city embraces it. It might, just because, if it's not a home run in year 1 of doing this, the Stampede Bowl, don't give up on it, because you got to build the traditions. But I think it could be a lot of fun.
Okay, so a couple of things. Oh God, I need another arm, Moose. The text line is brought to you by Western Dodge. Drive with confidence. Shop Western Dodge in Moose Jaw. Financing, selection, and service you can count on. Great folks down there, and we will be broadcasting live from there in the coming weeks. I still have Calgary on my phone. You know how on your phone you got like the 4 most closest places you've been?
Yes.
Mine are Moose Jaw, Regina, Calgary, Boca Raton. Those are the 4. So Calgary, I don't even have to search it. I've spent so much time there. And the reason I bring that up, Ron in Calgary writes in, there's a slight chance the Calgary game could get canceled due to a possible storm. And what I'm seeing here, it's got sun all day. I don't know what you're looking at, Ron. It's got sun all. Listen, I lived in Calgary and went to college there. I get it. If you don't like the weather in Calgary, wait 15 minutes. It'll change. But nowhere on the weather app does it say that it's going to storm tonight in Calgary. Ron also says Connor McDavid should cut his ties and go where he really wants. It's a broken record, and until they get a star goalie, he won't sign. Pay cut, not a chance. unless hidden payouts in performance, playoffs, etc. I get a kick out of Ron. He's in Calgary. He's a Flames fan. He's got all these opinions on the Oilers. But I did ask for their take, so I get it. But it's, how do you know what Connor McDavid wants? How does anybody know? Do you think? I think only Connor knows what he wants, correct?
Yeah, he's not the most, open guy, and he's not the guy who just, spills out from his chest when he's asked questions in the media. He's kind of guarded, he's protected, he's careful with his words. You're right. I think only Connor knows what Connor wants, and we'll find out here over the next little while.
902-518-3033. This text from Phil and Dauphin came in yesterday's show regarding Mitch Marner, so I will not read it. Okay, one more segment left with the Moose. You think about what do you want to get to after the break, Moose? Plus all of what we've been talking about so far.
Yeah, more of this. I love it. More of this. I'm all over this Stampede Bowl now, man. You got me really excited for the game.
I think it's going to be amazing. I wish I would be there, but failing that, I know that I will be watching it. We'll be back in a moment. We're live on the Game Plus television network, streaming live and found on all major podcast platforms.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
Shania Twain.
Let's go, girls.
Live in Moose Jaw. Shania Twain. One incredible show. Live at Temple Garden Center, July 7th. With special guest, Lindsay L. Get tickets Friday, March 21st at 10 a.m. at the Temple Garden Center's box office or sasktix.ca. For more, visit ShaniaTwain.com.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Hi, my name is Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
RP Show continues on a Thursday. It's not the 4th of July. All day I thought it was until I was on the radio in Amarillo, Texas this morning saying happy 4th of July, guys. They're like, Rod, what day do you think that it is? Anyways, that'll work for tomorrow. The Moose joins us from Toronto, Ontario, Canada, the center of the universe. Look it up. And everybody's talking about the Stampede Bowl, Moose. Everybody's excited. Kirk in Toronto writes in. He says, hey, Rod, I'm enjoying the show for the next few days from beautiful Round Lake Center in the Madawaska Valley. Am I saying that right, Darren? You're the big GTA guy.
Hi. Not that big of a GTA guy. It sounds good to me, so I'm good with it. I don't know how you say it.
Okay. You'll know at some point, the longer you live out there. Ron in Calgary writes in. He's the Flames fan who always has an opinion on the Oilers. He writes back on the Western Dodge text line. He says, I do appreciate you a bunch. LOL. Thank you. At least somebody does. On the Stampeders playing on the night, the eve of the Calgary Stampede, the world's greatest outdoor show. Fake Gainer writes in. He says, hey, Reverend Rod and Heel Moose. Apples to melons, but I was always against the Riders playing during Buffalo days until they did it in 2019. Hope the Stampeders have success. And he says also, Heel Moose tricked me into thinking that was the actual CN Tower in the background. I feel duped. Well played. You mean your apartment doesn't look over downtown Toronto?
No, it does. I'm not kidding.
It does? You're looking out. Okay. But you just
100%.
put up that screen anyways. Okay, cool. I got it. Hey, if you say it, I trust you. I absolutely trust you. I said I was going to do picks with you. Are you prepared to do that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you're going to come visit, and I'll show you the CN Tower out my window, and you'll know I'm not lying to you.
Guy, I was just there. I came to see you once. I thought you didn't want to take me to your house. I thought it was like, a blind date. You're afraid to have, I wouldn't ask you to come to my place.
I want to give you the coordinates. Exactly.
I try not to be offended. Darren and I did get together in the GTA a couple of weeks back, but not at his house.
We drank a whole thermos of coffee that day. It was good. Great day.
AKA the Huge.
Yes.
Winnipeg at Calgary, we've both agreed that the Blue Bombers will win tonight. Hamilton at Toronto, that's Friday night. Anything special about that game at BMO?
It's another rivalry game. The weather's supposed to be great. It's been really hot out here. I'm going to go Hamilton to win that game on Friday.
Good. Everybody is. And I'm taking the Argos. I don't know what's going on with the Argos. It's early in the season. And even though Chad Kelly, their stud quarterback, isn't playing and Nick Fatty Arbuckle is, they did win a Grey Cup with him last year against Winnipeg. So, yeah, I'll take Toronto and have no issues with it. Get a ticket and go, you people in Toronto. BC at Montreal on Saturday. A rematch of the 2006 Grey Cup. Those lynchisms never get old, do they? BC at Montreal Saturday. Sounds like I think Davis Alexander's back for the Alouettes. And I don't know what's up with Nathan Rourke, but I don't think it matters. I think Montreal wins no matter what, but I can't speak for you.
Yeah, Davis Alexander, I think he was just named the Player of the Month in the Canadian Football League, one of them. And I think the Alouettes too. I'll take Montreal. But again, just waiting for Nathan Rourke to be 100% and playing every week, and things will change for BC.
Okay, well, this goes back to that MVP versus most outstanding player argument. Let's just give Nathan Rourke the MVP award now because BC can't win without him. When they have him, they win. When they don't, they don't. So I guess he's the most valuable player. That's not how I guess they look at it. And then Sunday, Ottawa at Edmonton. I'm going to go with the Elkamos. It's time for them to win. They're getting better every week, as we've said. They are 0-3, but they're at home. And as John Frenzy would say, they really want to win this one. So does Ottawa, John. No, but they really want to win. So I've got Edmonton, Elkamos. How about you?
I'm going to go with Ottawa. and I'm
Perfect.
going to take the Red Blacks. But I like this. This is going to be a really, really good, I think, a close football game.
I love the game a day for 4 days in the Canadian Football League. And
Yeah.
I also don't like to argue. Like I was on the air in Edmonton last summer when this was going on with Carius at Sports 1440. I'm like, this is great. And you're like, oh, how can you say this is great? How can you not say it's great? But you know what? You do you. It's perfect. I don't want to sit on my ass 6 hours a day in the summer watching football, but I'll do 3 hours a day. It's great for the Canadian Football League, in my opinion. Gary in Winnipeg writes in on the Western Dodge text line. He says, the Bombers have a bye next week and then play Calgary in a rematch. He goes, in 2008, I took the Greyhound bus from Winnipeg to Amarillo, Texas. The ticket price was $82. Amarillo was located on the famous Route 66 and is near the midpoint between Chicago and Los Angeles. Spent a week there and had a great time. I'll be going to Amarillo next spring. My buddy Kenny Naguns, Texas Kenny's the general manager of the West Texas Warbirds Arena Football League. I'm going to go down there and just have a big time. All right, Moose, tennis. Go.
Well, unfortunately for our viewers, it's not great anymore for the Canadian perspective. They're all out. The young 18-year-old Victoria Mboko lost a tiebreaker and then fell in the second set 6-3 earlier today to Haley Baptiste, I believe, the American. She was doing really great, but we have a great crop of young Canadians. Gabe Diallo yesterday, watched him against the American Taylor Fritz, who's one of the top seeds. Just a real battle, and he was great. I think he earned a lot of respect in that one. Won a match here at Wimbledon, and then fell in the second round. So he's out. Felix and Shapo are out, but should be fun today. Sinner's on the court later. Jack Draper's on the court. Alcaraz tomorrow. So Wimbledon rolls on, and it's still a lot of fun.
For the tennis fans, there's your update from the Moose. Kevin the Medium checking in from the Hughes Sports Podcast. Hey, Kevin. He had me on last night with himself and Jake Hughes on the Hughes Sports Podcast, and I'll get to some of their topics if we have time in this segment, for sure next segment. Right. Carlos in Indianapolis, why are you fixated with the fact that Darren's in front of a green screen? 90% of television shows these days are. By the way, this is not. It helps when we have people from time to time walking behind me here on the court at the Golden Ticket Sport. He's just fixated on the fact that it's a green screen behind Darren. Everybody does it. God. Ryan in upstate New York says it's a run out the clock situation for most of us working in the USA today, because tomorrow is a holiday. Someday I'll tell you about when we drove down to Plentywood, Montana, Saturday, July 4th. It's like 30 years ago. And on Saturday, the 4th of July, and there was no parties in Plentywood. We're like, what the hell? They're like, we did it all last night. But that was July the 3rd. All the fireworks, though, were 50% off. Of course, because they let them all off. So we bought all these fireworks. We're going to bring them back to Canada, and we get stopped at the border, and they're like, you can't bring these fireworks into Canada. Did I ever tell you this story? No. And we had a truckload of fireworks, and we're like, well, what the hell are we supposed to do with these fireworks? We bought all these fireworks. We can't bring them into Canada. So we turn around, we go back to this little lake that's on the side of the road, northern Montana, and we let them all off. But it was a little bit of a windy day, and this one was like a rocket, lit it, and the wind blew it, knocked it over. Guess what? It became like a missile. Hit the box of our buddy Ski's, his nickname's Ski, hit his truck, bango, and put a dent in it, this like a 12-inch dent in the box of his truck. We're like, if that would have hit one of us, would have killed us. Fun. Let's light off more. Oh, it was such a great day.
That's unbelievable. That's what happened here. Because of Canada Day on Tuesday, I feel like everybody was doing the partying the Monday night, knowing you had Tuesday off work, not Tuesday because you got to go to work on Wednesday. But that's kind of was the deal this year too.
We showed up in Plentywood, Montana on Saturday, July the 4th, expecting the party of our lives. And they're like, oh, you missed it. We did it last night. Yeah, it's so different than what you think. It just is. But I'm learning. Oh, and by the way, don't forget, I may call you Moose later because we have some very exciting things going on. They really love our show in the USA. I'll just put this out there. So this involves you, Grasshopper. So you're going to want to Pay attention. No. This Corey, I'll handle it.
Around.
I'll handle it, Corey. Sports update coming up after this break. And Darren, you have yourself a great Toronto afternoon.
All right. Looking forward
to
the
Western Dodge text line is open, 902-518-3033. Back right after this.
Hi, my name is Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB. Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Shania Twain.
Let's go, girls.
Live in Moose Jaw. Shania Twain. One incredible show. Live at Temple Garden Center, July 7th. With special guest, Lindsay L. Get tickets Friday, March 21st at 10 a.m. at the Temple Garden Center's box office or sasktix.ca. For more, visit shaniatwain.com.
All right, welcome back, everybody. The Moose is gone. Let's talk about him. 902-518-3033. The Western Dodge text line is open. Proud partners of the Rod Pedersen Show. Western Dodge and Moose Jaw, big city selection with small town service. Now get your comments in. I would have read more of yours, but when the Moose was here, I don't like to take up our time. I want his thoughts, right? That's what we do. Sports update. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. was once again named an All-Star yesterday. Sports update for Heavy Jim. The 26-year-old slugger was named the starting first baseman for the American League for the fourth time, with it set to be his fifth consecutive All-Star appearance. He beat out Yankees star Paul Goldschmidt for the top spot, garnering 75% of the vote to take the starting spot at first base. Kevin Pillar is hanging up his cleats. The former Blue Jays center fielder announced his retirement Wednesday after 13 seasons in Major League Baseball. Pillar became a Blue Jays fan favorite and earned the Superman nickname for routinely making highlight reel catches to rob opposing teams of home runs. He spent 7 seasons in Toronto from 2013 to 2019, tallying 44 homers and 231 RBIs in 695 games. Get to some of the things that I didn't in the quick six. Day 3 of NHL free agency is set to begin, with teams still rounding out their rosters. Slick winger Nikolai Ehlers has yet to sign a deal. The 29-year-old Ehlers, the biggest name left on the market, spent a decade with the Winnipeg Jets, but appears set to move on. Blue liner Dmitry Orlov is also still without a home. Orlov just completed his 13th NHL campaign and second with the Carolina Hurricanes. The sports update is brought to you by Heavy Gym. Your best self is just a challenge away. Whether you're starting out or going for gold, we're here to help you reach your peak. Ready to get started? Head over to heavygym.ca and unleash your power. So I've kind of kept my eye on the comments from the viewers here, and I'm a fan of trying something, but it takes balls to do it. And a lot of people, especially in today's world, don't have any balls. Jay McNeil, the president of the Calgary Stampeders, does. Big ones. And he's a fantastic guy, played for the Stampeders. You all know that. And when we were doing our shows live from the Grey Eagle Resort and Casino in Calgary, and from the beautiful Tsuut'ina Nation, I miss that a lot. But Jay came down and talked about his plan for running the Stampeders, and it's been a very tough go for a variety of reasons, all of which are out of his control. And I'm not saying this Stampede Bowl is his idea, but I like it a lot. It's got everybody talking. And to be honest, the day they announced it, something else was going on. It wasn't in my purview, but it sure the hell is now. And I will be watching tonight with great interest. I mean, I can't be everywhere. I'd love to be there, but I can't be everywhere. We'll be in Calgary in a few weeks' time. But BW in Edmonton writes in, he says, the Stampede Bowl has the potential of becoming exactly like the Labor Day Classic if Calgary marketing is done right. Well, I would say that they're off to a great start. And Tony from Cochrane had a comment. In that, we're all talking about it. It's not just another game. But Tony had a comment here about, and a good one, about the parking. And this is, the difference between, I feel, Canadian sports and U.S. sports. Here it is. Tony says, I don't get Stampede Bowl. The McMahon Stadium parking lot has always been full of visitors' RVs for the Calgary Stampede. Where's everyone going to park now? And then comes all the comments. He's not wrong. I don't know. But it's like, maybe use public transit. I do know the LRT stops right there. So many people do that. Maybe take a cab, take an Uber, get dropped off. Find a way to get there because it's the place you want to be. We're all going to be tuned in tonight on TSN to watch the game. And again, I don't know where the hell it is from Jeff the Stamps fan. Here it is. Jeff the Stamps fan says, it'll be a blast. Brett Michaels of Poison's playing tonight. A mechanical bull. And Heck Mwamba, I think it's Enoch Mwamba, racing the world's fastest cow. For those that don't know, Enoch Mwamba is on the CFL on TSN panel. Good friend of mine, former Rough Riders linebacker, and Blue Bombers, and Alouettes, right? And Indianapolis Colts. Bet on the cow. Just like that soccer game we talked about last night, Canada versus the USA in the women's. Canada was all-time 4-66 against the USA. They got motorboated last night by the USA. So, hey, come to me for betting tips. And that's brought to you by WestJet, right, Jeff? And that's kind of the difference between the NFL and the CFL. And don't come down my throat on this when I say it the way that it is. I was playing, that was for Joe, our business manager, the other day. I talked to him about Texas. We're aligning a lot with Texas. A lot. And I was saying, God Bless Texas is like the anthem of Texas. Everywhere you go, you hear God Bless Texas by Little Texas, which suits me just fine. I love that song. It's like when you're in New York, all you hear is dun, 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 dun. New York, New York by Frank Sinatra, which is also great. You hear it coming out of bars. You hear it on tour buses. You hear it in car radios. You hear it everywhere you go. In Texas, it's God Bless Texas. And at a Cowboys game, and I've been to multiple, but at this one particular game, the opening video for the Cowboys was Michael Irvin doing coming out of the crowd. They're playing God Bless Texas. The lights are like lightning. And all of a sudden they fling open a freaking gate and a bull comes out. Bucking around. A real bull. Not a mechanical bull. A real bull. in AT&T Stadium, which at the time was called Cowboy Stadium. Oh my God, my heart's going nuts right now. That's how we do it in Dallas. And when they say everything's bigger in Texas, that's why. The great state. So I like that they're going to have a mechanical bull at the Stampede Bowl. That's cute. With the Dallas Cowboys, we do it a little different. We just don't win. Big Bob is watching in Trois-Rivières, Quebec. He says the Montreal Alouettes better get their you-know-what together for the game Saturday. And this is from a season ticket holder in Montreal. How about the fact they banned those horns there? You probably all would be happy if to ban my horn. John in Edmonton writes in. He says, finally, Rod picks the Elks to win. Let's hope he didn't jinx it. Just so you know, buddy, it's got nothing to do with me. You're shocked I've picked the Elks to lose every game, and I've been right every game, so don't come at me. University Dawn. That's hilarious. Navy Dawn writes in from Ottawa and says, for fans in Calgary, take the damn LRT. That also is a massive Canadian thing that I had to get over living in Florida because, yes, let's drive to the stadium and park right beside it. Maybe that isn't always going to be available. Maybe find other arrangements. I did that for one Dolphins game. I'm like, I had to park 1.2 miles away. Not that that's a bad thing because I like to run and I like to walk, but not when it is 117 degrees Fahrenheit. Takes a little bit of the steam out. So I started taking transit, and to be honest, I stopped going at all because it's a pain in the ass going to Dolphins games. Navy Dawn says the University of Texas at Austin has a longhorn steer. Somebody tell me what the name of that steer is. I want to say Bethel or Ethel. Hang on. What's the name of the steer for the Texas Longhorns? I'll find it. It's like Ethel or Bethel or ChatGPT. Can you beat me to it, Corey? You're probably not in front of your computer. What's the name of the Texas Longhorns steer? See how long it takes. The Texas. Oh, Bevo. Bevo. First introduced in 1916, Bevo has been a consistent presence at the University of Texas Athletic Event Center ever since. At the Moncrief facility, I was down there and had a great visit with the Longhorns back in the Tom Herman days at Darrell K. Royce Stadium in Austin, Texas. Why is all this Texas stuff coming up? There you go. Bevo, the Texas Longhorns bull, but it's not a bull. Guys like Navy Dawn and I would know. There's a way to know what the difference between a steer and a bull. 902-518-3033. When you know, speaking of who's got balls and who doesn't, we were talking about that earlier. There will be a lot of NHL talk and some NFL talk coming up in hour two as well. Jersey Jim Biringer will be joining us from Full Press NHL, or specifically NHL Full Press. That's coming up in segment 2 of hour 2. So if you want to get your comments in on these CFL games this weekend, get them in now through this break, and we'll address them in the opening segment of hour 2. There's a very exciting baseball game going on tonight at Rogers Center in Toronto as well. The Blue Jays have the chance to take over first place in the American League East. Now, they've been holding on to a wild card spot for quite some time, but to talk of a pennant in July, this summer is drunk. 902-518-3033, the Western Dodge text line or the YouTube chat. And we'll be back after this break. We're live on the Game Plus television network all across Canada, 32 U.S. states, streaming live and, of course, found on all major podcast platforms.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
Shania Twain.
Let's go, girls.
Live in Moose Jaw. Shania Twain. One incredible show. Live at Temple Garden Center July 7th. With special guest Lindsay L. Get tickets Friday, March 21st at 10 a.m. at the Temple Garden Center's box office or sasktix.ca. For more, visit ShaniaTwain.com.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Hi, my name is Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Hello, it's hour 2 of the RP show and a very special hour moving forward, especially. But that's under wraps. Just stay tuned, everybody. Just stay tuned. As that famous meme that I love of Leonardo DiCaprio says, to all our haters, stay tuned. Wait till you see what's coming next. Oh, and by the way, Texas Kenny from 806 Sports, 107.1 FM in Amarillo, Texas. I was on with him again this morning, and trust me, I'm going to get caught up on everything that we've been talking about here today on the RP show. This is episode number 1527 of Canada's daytime sports talk show, airing in 32 states and growing. I was on with him this morning and saying that my very good radio friend up here in Canada, Perry Nias, his nickname is Imus. And I said, Imus, what would you say if we went down to Texas? We flew down there and we rented a truck and just drove around. You know, and we went to San Antonio and Austin and Amarillo. And he's like, can we go to Lubbock? Of course we can. I'd like to go to El Paso. I'd love to go to Laredo, Brownsville. Got to go to Beaumont, the home of Mark Chestnut and George Jones. I always wanted to see Corpus Christi. And Imus says, can we go tomorrow? No. We'll be doing this next spring when my buddy Kenny Nagunst, he's the general manager of the West Texas Warbirds Expansion Arena Football League team. By the way, Kenny, do you need a play-by-play guy? I may know one. Kenny has written me and says, the guy's name is Imus? I thought Imus died. I'm like, no, that's his nickname. after the famous Don Imus, who got canceled, which ironically, I was just thinking about that in the break. That may or may not come up. But Darren Moose DuPont was with us last hour, and, he dresses differently than I do. He dresses like Leonardo DiCaprio in The Wolf of Wall Street. And he says, is Moose's shirt a pajama top or a rich man's dress shirt? It's already trolling the Moose. So things are coming together quite nicely. You got to be careful, though. You got to be careful. You don't want to get canceled. And the reason I bring that up was go on Amarillo Sports Radio. You wouldn't think they'd be asking about the National Hockey League, but they were. And they wanted to, we talked about Sidney Crosby. Dusty, one of the hosts on the radio there. Dusty, radio host in Amarillo, Texas. You couldn't write it better. And he says, are these rumors of Sidney Crosby being traded true? I'm like, well, the rumors might be, but I don't believe he will be. Why would he? He's taken less money habitually. His last contract, he took less money than he probably was worth. And he's got his 3 Stanley Cups by taking less money over the years. And that morphed to Connor McDavid. And where's he going to go? And if he goes anywhere, I think we all know that he's now eligible to sign an extension with the Oilers, but he has said he's not interested. He's not in a rush. Not that he's not interested. He's not in a rush to make a decision on his future. And why would he be? The salary cap is going up exponentially in the National Hockey League. He'd be an idiot. He'd be shortchanging himself now. And so it was in my mind, not the guys in Amarillo. I don't want to throw them under the bus. It was me where I said, should McDavid take less money? Because he's the best player in the game. Nobody's disputing that. At one time, Sidney was. He's not anymore, I don't think. He was in the Four Nations faceoff. Although McDavid scored the game-winning goal, right, in overtime of the Four Nations faceoff. We can all agree right now Connor McDavid is the greatest player in the game. Should he be paid as the greatest player in the game, or pull a Tom Brady or a Sidney Crosby and take less money and help out the Oilers cap situation? It's a very complicated question, and it kind of depends which side of the cookie you're on. And the last I saw on Twitter, and it's brought to you by EMJ Marketing, by the way, the poll question daily. Transform your business with EMJ Marketing's all-in-one marketing and speaker services. Find out more at emjmarketing.com. 57% are saying no, he shouldn't take less money. It's a complicated situation. I'll tell you right now, because I don't care. I'm an open book, and you all know that. I make less money now in this role than I did as the voice of the Rough Riders for 20 years. But guess what? I would do this 100 times over for a variety of other reasons. So I'm okay with it. But that's me. Would Connor McDavid be? And because Connor McDavid is a Canadian boy from Toronto area, I don't want to be painted as saying that he is in any way selfish. Do what's best for you. I think we all understand that. But Tom Brady and Sidney Crosby have more championship rings than they have digits for, literally. That's the way they did it, and they don't regret it. Connor McDavid will sign for the most money in the game. There's no doubt, and that's not wrong either. What do you think he should do? And that's why the results are so close to 50-50. Rob in Las Vegas writes in, he says, stop by the big Texan steak ranch in Amarillo, Rod, home of the 72-ouncer. I could put that away. I'd have to work up to that. But thank you, Rob in Las Vegas. Oh, Rob was just in Dallas. He sent me photos of his tour of Cowboy Stadium. I assume you didn't meet Jarrah then, Rob? If you had, I'm assuming you would have got pictures with Jerry. Quick six show horn. Here's what we've been talking about today on the RP show. The very big story. We start with baseball. And it's interesting because people now know that I'm working in the baseball industry. And then they want to talk baseball. I don't always, but I will. A wild pitch from Yankees reliever Devin Williams scored George Springer, and the Blue Jays went on to score 2 runs in the 8th inning of a wild 11-9 victory over the New York Yankees last night, as if that wasn't enough. Jays went up 7-0 after the first inning, and then the Yankees came back. It was 9-9 in the 8th. Jays scored 2 to go on to win 11-9 and pull even with the Yankees for first place in the AL East. And tonight's winner gets first place in the AL East. But here's the thing. maybe for only a day, but it's still exciting. 7:05 first pitch at Rogers Center. That's the big story that everybody's talking about. Moose was on with us an hour ago from Toronto saying the whole city's going nuts, and they should be. Those that aren't crying about Mitch Marner leaving, which I also saw a report here that Nick Kyprios is reporting the Leafs are interested in bringing back Nazem Kadri. Here's the thing. I'm done with that. I'll talk about it as much as we are willing to talk about it, but there are sports going on. So the conjecture of the NHL free agency, it's day 3. For now, I'm over it. Clayton Kershaw became the 20th pitcher with 3,000 strikeouts last night in the 6th inning. Kershaw waved to his wife and 4 children in the stands and then patted his heart and mouthed, "Thank you." The game was delayed while a tribute video played. Point 2 was 806 Sports in Amarillo and how they brought up our poll question today of Connor McDavid. We covered that. As we continue in the Quick Six show topics, the Calgary Stampeders host the undefeated Winnipeg Blue Bombers in CFL play tonight. The game has been dubbed the Stampede Bowl, with a custom trophy for the game winner in homage to the Calgary Stampede, which starts Friday and has been a city fixture for over 100 years. The 2-1 Stampeders look to get back on the win column after a 20-12 loss to Ottawa last week. Now, here's the funny thing. Y'all know I love Calgary. And deep down, they love me too. Just most of them are afraid to say it. That's okay. But for years and years and years, they wouldn't play a football game during the Calgary Stampede. And I get it. They didn't want to get lost in the storm. Like, the Calgary Stampede is immense. And I finally got to it 3 summers ago. I can't remember now. Maybe 4. Don't matter. I got there. It's huge. I could see why they wouldn't. And those guys that marketed the Calgary Stampeders, specifically in the 90s, definitely the 2000s, they knew what they were doing. They were playing to crowds of 30,000 plus every night. If they didn't think they should play during the Stampede, who was I to argue? But now they are. And the thing is, with the Stampede people, you've Stampeders people. That's different than the Stampede people. If you don't know, you never will. But if you know, you know. They've been trying their ass off to get people in that place, and it's not working. I think somebody said it's like they're running in quicksand trying to market the Calgary Stampeders. So why not try the Stampede Bowl? And let's bring in Brett Michaels. What the hell? And when I started playing these tunes of Poison, I was having flashbacks back in the day. Talked about this yesterday, of Electric Avenue. Yeah. And Curly's on South McLeod Trail South. I used to work at a bar called the Rock and Horse Saloon. I was a doorman there. They called it the Divorce Horse. Let's not go down that road. That's not a road you want to go down, Rod. Joe, I just said it. We have a joke about this. If you're watching on Streaming Plus, press like. Thank you. Robin Vegas says Jerry Jones was in a meeting. I was just saying, I'm on the air here, Joe. I just said, I was telling old Calgary stories when I went to Mount Royal, and you know what I said? That's not a road you want to go down, Rod. You and I both know that. We won't say who said it. Bomber Boy writes in, he says, Thursday night games didn't really exist in the CFL until the last few years. Having a game on either end of the Stampede weekend would be like scheduling a game during the Super Bowl. Kevin the Medium is watching, and he says, the Stampede Bowl is the best move the Stampeders have made in a decade or more. And I'm going to give Jay McNeil, the president, credit because he's getting all the blame for the other stuff. I don't know if he's worthy of either, but he's the face of it, Jay McNeil. Plus, he's a great dude. Clone of Ted Danson. Oh, I can't wait to tune in tonight. It's going to be big fun. I'm just saying, why did it take 100 years for them to figure, let's play during Stampede? What the hell? They're literally at a point of like, what do we got to lose? 902-518-3033 is the Western Dodge text line. Western Dodge, proud partners of the RP show. Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, big city selection with small town service. Ron in Calgary writes in, he says, Stampede Bowl equals genius decision. Should have been done years ago. Well, that is not the way I think. It's because there's no point looking back. We're here. Let's look forward. It's going to be hopefully a big crowd tonight. If you're worried about parking, that it might be taken up by RVs, which is a very real possibility. Thanks to Tony from Cochrane, Alberta, for take the LRT. Take an Uber. I understand the idea of being stranded after the game. That's a problem. Because you know what? In a lot of ways, I'm a fan now. I mean, I only go to the NHL games as a media person in South Florida, but I go to the Marlins games, Dolphins games as a fan, and it's a pain in the ass. I understand that. There is no transit out to the Dolphins Stadium, Hard Rock. It's not easy to get to the Marlins Park either. So I understand all that. But if you want to go, you'll go. That's the bottom line. Ooh. Scott from Moose Jaw writes in. He says, Davis Schneider hit 2 bombs last night as a fill-in. Beautiful. He says, I should get you a new duck call from the Duck Dynasty guys. This is a kazoo from John's Music in Moose Jaw. It's really hard to find a horn. You wouldn't think it'd be that hard. I thought all these gift shops in downtown Moose Jaw, I would have my pick of horns. Not one. John's Music had one, $5. I think we should market them. Be great noisemaker. 11:11 Mountain, 11:11 Mountain, 1:11 Eastern for those who celebrate. Coming up next segment, Jersey Jim Biringer from NHL Full Press. We're going to talk about it all, so get your NHL. We're still Canada after all. We had a big CFL discussion last hour. We're going to have a big NHL and NFL discussion in this next segment with Jersey Jim Biringer, so just be prepared for it. Kevin the Medium writing in from the Hughes Sports Podcast. He says, so why for the last decade has attendance declined when you've had a winning team? Only way to get fans back in Calgary is a new stadium. That's the one thing. I love the conversation with Kevin the Medium, and he lives there. But I was just on Kevin's show last night, his podcast. We were talking about this, and we did, 15 minutes on the CFL, and the attendance did not come up. This is the wildest thing, even for the U.S. viewers. You got to admit, a marketer would just salivate over this and go, why? The Argos in Toronto, the Stampeders in Calgary, the two winningest teams in the last decade, Stampeders the last 30, and the attendance has gone down. What the hell? I mean, every team would love to have the championships these two teams have had, and their attendance is in the toilet. How? Why? There's no other league that has that. No other league has that. You win, you fill the stadium. NHL, NFL, baseball. I'm sure. How do you spell marketing? W-I-N. Not in Calgary and Toronto. It makes no sense. And if you talk, in both cases, they're both owned by sports conglomerates. If you really held them down and did water torture on them, they might tell you, all the marketing dollars are spent on the other teams, specifically the NHL team. I don't know that. I'm guessing that. I might have heard whispers of that. Toronto, there's no excuse. They have a beautiful outdoor stadium there. Calgary, big complaint about the stadium. I just think it's an excuse. They used to fill it. It's not any worse now than it was 10, 20, 30 years ago. Anyways, NHL, NFL with Jersey Jim when we come back from NHL Full Press. 902-518-3033. Western Dodge text line. Yeah, it's going to be great with our boy from the swamp. We'll be right back here on Game Plus TV.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Hi, my name is Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB. Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Shania Twain.
Let's go, girls.
Live in Moose Jaw. Shania Twain. One incredible show. Live at Temple Garden Center, July 7th. With special guest, Lindsay L. Get tickets Friday, March 21st at 10 a.m. at the Temple Garden Center's box office or sasktix.ca. For more, visit shaniatwain.com.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
RP show continues live on the Game Plus television network, Canada-wide, coast to coast on Game Plus and in 32 U.S. states, including New York, New Jersey. And that's where our next guest joins us from NHL Full Press, our good buddy, Jersey Jim Biringer. What's up, Jimmy boy?
What is up, Rod? Not only New York, New Jersey, but the Green Mountains of Vermont as well. So up in the Green Mountain State, little vacay with Mom. So hi, Mom, sitting next to me. But, just up and doing a little vacay up here, and glad to be on the show as always.
Well, I appreciate you finding the time and say hey to your beautiful mom for me. And I've got we have questions from the viewers for you that I will get to in a second. But I haven't talked about this on this show all week, but I've been asked on other shows about the NHL draft and the remote format which they debuted this year, and then the Zoom rooms with the picks, talking to the staff of the teams, which was incredibly awkward, I thought. What do you think of the way round one of the NHL draft played out this year with the production?
All right, so I'm going to answer this, and if it comes off like an NHL homer, I apologize. But again, Gary Bettman and Bill Daly put it on the general managers. It's the general managers who voted 26-6 to have this decentralized draft. So if you listen to Gary talk and Bill talk, they're like, hey, it's on those guys. They wanted this. We didn't want this. I think Steve Mayer did his best job as he could. The president and the CEO of content and events. And again, I'm agreeing with a lot of people what I heard. I don't understand how the NHL general managers have a say in league events. The NHL draft is a league event. So I think, next year we're going to go back to the centralized draft, even though some GMs like the decentralized draft. I thought they did a best job as possible. I always knew communication was going to be an issue. I mean, if you want to keep doing it, just take a page out of the NFL book, have at least one representative there on the phones, have the fiber optic line set up. That way there's no loss in communications. They did the best job as possible, in my opinion.
Bravo. I couldn't agree more. And just to step out, they tried something. We've been talking about tonight in the CFL, they're doing a Stampede Bowl for the first time in 100 years. It means nothing to you, but they're going to try it. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how many people are drawn in Calgary. The NHL tried something. I'm not sure even they would say it was a success, but we all watched. And I'll say this, Jim, this is my opinion. If they took out the Zoom room, it was awkward with the players talking to the GM and the scouts. That was awkward. We don't need to see that. Take that out, and you have a very NFL draft similar thing. If they did that, I'd be totally cool. But do you think they'd be too afraid of seeming like they were copying the NFL?
Maybe. I mean, again, I think they just tried something different. You said it right. Like when I talked with Steve Mayer a couple of times when I saw him for Four Nations and at the Stadium Series, he's like, yeah, there's going to be some surprises, going to be some guests. We saw different guests come in, celebrities, Adam Sandler, the Ducks got their assignment right when they had a couple of the stars from the Mighty Ducks movie pick, their player at 10. So it was cool. I mean, look, they tried it. I think personally, again, as a fan watching and understanding how TV is, you missed a moment with Matthew Schaefer. Again, he lost his mom, cancer, all that stuff. I can relate everything with my dad. So I get it. And, so that's a moment that you're not getting back. And imagine if the teams are there, the embrace, just being there. Like that's a TV moment. That's a ratings moment. You don't want to do that on that side of everything. But you think about it from a TV side, just imagine that reaction. That would have been spread all over social media. That's the stuff I look at it from a TV side of it. You just missed the opportunities there because you're never getting that moment again.
For sure. But it's interesting because I was on the radio this morning in Amarillo, Texas. That was the first draft those Cowboys had ever watched. It was the first one they'd ever watched. And they actually thought it was good because they don't have anything to compare it to. Right? So I'm like, well, that's kind of...
Yeah, exactly.
They thought the Matthew Schaefer story was a great one. I'm like, it was great. His dad would have cried like that, and Matthew as well, whether it was all the teams were there or not, right? So anyways, the NHL can do no wrong in my eyes anyways, so maybe I'm too biased. We'll just see where it goes moving forward. The viewers asked about Jake Allen. I've lost track of the free agent goalie. What is the status of Jake Allen?
So he re-signed with New Jersey, 5-year deal, $1.8 million. Yeah, he stayed in New Jersey. I think the term's a little long, but I get why they did it. Keep the AAV down. His contract's movable towards the end, so it's not a big deal. But he's staying there. Tom Fitzgerald likes the goalie pattern. I mean, the problem is the free agent class this year wasn't the greatest. And once guys started staying home, everybody realized, hey, maybe it's just better off just to stay with your own team because maybe there's nothing better out there. Let's be honest. Where was he really going to go? Edmonton? Edmonton going to pay Jake Allen over 4 years? I mean, they got to figure out. They have other problems they need to deal with, starting with 97 in that contract, because they got to get that one done before they really can do anything else. And where else is he going? There's not a lot of really options. Buffalo, I mean, I think the best chance for him to win and settle in, you got a good relationship with the number one in Markstrom. Just stay where you are. I think that's a great fit for New Jersey. Again, the term to me is a little bit long, but you can move it towards the end.
Okay, well, I thought I'd seen Jake Allen had re-signed. As somebody wrote in here, instead of asking me, would you write Google? He did. I'm like, am I crazy? Did I not see that he signed? BW in Edmonton writes in and says, "Yo, it's BW. It was BW in Edmonton. He's a trucker, so he doesn't have time to Google." But he says, Jersey Jim, what should we expect at Edmonton out of Curtis Lazar after being in New Jersey for the past 3 years, signed for the minimum in Edmonton? Well, we've been watching him in Buffalo, Ottawa. I watched him in junior with the Oil Kings. He's a minimum salary guy now. He's a bit part. I mean, what are the Oilers getting there in him?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I've seen Lazar the last couple of years. I mean, in and out. He's been in and out of the lineup, had some injuries that he had to deal with. But he's a steady Eddie on the bottom six. Good penalty killer, right? He's not gonna. It's nothing fancy. He's gonna get you some goals, replacements for guys that they lost, depth scoring, right? Like the Oilers lost a lot of depth scoring over the last couple of years since they went to the 2 straight Stanley Cup Finals. And because of the salaries that are going up, Draisaitl, now Bouchard, you got to bring in guys for the league minimum. We saw that issue in Toronto for how many years with, guys just coming in on league minimum deals. But Lazar's a good player. I mean, he's still in the National Hockey league minimum deal. He'll get you 10, 15 goals, play good penalty kill. That's his role. He's a bottom six forward. That's what you're getting from that player.
Brad writes in from Shaunavon, Saskatchewan, the home of Sean Van Allen. He says, NHL draft was a joke. Terrible show. I turned it off before the end of the second round. It was in LA, though, so had to go with the tech. Maybe. I mean, here's the other thing. People are entitled to their opinions. It did seem a little clunky, but that's why I bring it up with Jim. I've been asked so much about it on other shows I've guested on. I'm like, well, maybe I should talk about it on my own show. Who would you say, let's take the Florida Panthers aside, because I think we would all say they won free agency. The fact that Bill Zito found a way to keep the big three is nothing short of miraculous. Who's next? Who's the free agent winner through 2 days in the NHL?
I mean, you look at it. I think I got to stay with the Islanders, to be honest. I mean, Matthew Darsh, what he's done, right? Like, I think you look at it. I said it yesterday. I said hell of a month for him, right? Comes in, you get Schaefer, you trade out Dobson, but you get Aitchison, and then you get Eklund in the draft. Then you pick up Drew, and sneaky good signing for him. You re-sign Holmstrom, nice contract for Romanov. You get that kid from Russia, Shabanov, as well, to play with the other guys. I think Matthew Darsh is doing, and the Islanders are doing a pretty good job down on the island. To be honest, I think, first month on the job, thrown into a tough situation, get all that work done for a team that's, needs offense and needs to retool on the fly. I think they're doing a pretty good job. To me, some head-scratching decisions from some teams like Anaheim, Vancouver. I thought Brock Besser was gone, and everybody stays in Vancouver and some of the contracts. Even for Demko, look, I get it. Loyalty matters, playing for one team. But 3 years for no movement clause for a guy that hasn't finished the season in 2 seasons, like full seasons, he hasn't played. That's a little much for me. But again, a lot of guys stayed home. I like Columbus keeping their D with Dante Fabro and Ivan Provorov. The Rangers, to me, look, I think this is a win for the Rangers in the sense that you got Gavrikov less than what market value said you probably could have got him at. Like, you saw a defenseman sign for $8.5 million, $9 million. You get him at $7 million. That's a pretty good deal for him. But yeah, to me, if I go back to my original team, I'm going with the Islanders and Matthew Jarsler. I like what he's done.
I'm just writing down your notes because you're just knocking them out of the park, buddy boy, like you always do.
Appreciate that, Rod. I appreciate that.
Well, you're going to be very big in Amarillo, Texas, like I am now, because these guys had all these questions today. They said with these Rangers moves, let's just examine this for a second. Keandre Miller, out. Chris Kreider, out. Jacob Trouba, out. Peter Laviolette, out. What exactly are they trying to do in New York?
Chris Drury's trying to make his own team in New York. I really don't know what Chris Drury's doing, to be honest. But he did win the trade, in my opinion. He got a good player back in Scott Morrow, the defenseman. He didn't play a lot in Carolina because Rob Brind'Amour system. He probably should have played a little bit more in the playoffs than he did. But again, they were trying to mix and match against Florida, and that's just a bad matchup for Carolina, in my opinion. But Mike Sullivan's still a good coach. Now, would I like to see somebody else in New York? Probably. Because I think Mike Sullivan's best years are behind him when he won the 2 Stanley Cups, because Pittsburgh has yet to be back to the playoffs in a couple of seasons and then bounced in the first round a bunch of times. But new scenery, but that's the guy who they wanted. Again, it goes back to the top. We've talked about this throughout the year. Unsteady ownership in New York, James Dolan, he's out there. Look what he's doing with the Knicks. Probably should have kept Thibodeau, to be honest. Again, you're making too many changes with a team that had a chance to be back in the playoffs last year. You move out most of the guys you want to. Chris Drury's trying to mold this team into his own team and get away from the guys that Jeff Gorton brought in, who's now up in Montreal doing a fantastic job. So I think, to me, the Rangers are a team to watch, but I'm not sure playoff team. They moved out a player that they didn't want to pay, and now Carolina has Keandre Miller, and maybe he flourishes in Rob Brendamore's system.
Well, here's the thing. Montreal under Gordon, you just said it, are going like this. Rangers under Drury are going like this. So we'll see. We'll see. You're good, Jimmy. All right. I know did we lose you? Okay, you're good now. Maybe you're good. Perfect timing to switch over to the National Football League. Last week, I did my top 10 storylines. Here's the one thing about me, Jim. You and I just got to know each other a few years ago, but usually when everybody steps out, I step in. Nobody's talking about the NFL right now. Training camps don't open for 2+ weeks. So nobody else is talking about it. Let's you and I talk about it. What's the number one story in the NFL going into training camps in the 2025 season?
I mean, it should be Pittsburgh and Aaron Rodgers, right?
Yeah.
I think everybody, all eyeballs are on what they're going to do, right? Like, they just made the big trade. Jalen Ramsey comes in. They bring in the tight end as well from Miami. Like, this team is – everybody's going to see what Rodgers does in his final season, right? Like, assuming it's his final season. You never want to assume anything. He could come back for one more year. But, again, it's – all eyes on, to me, are on the Steelers. Aaron Rodgers, let's see if him and Mike Tomlin can coexist and what they can get out of Rodgers, DJ Metcalf, all that stuff, DK Metcalf, I'm sorry. And so it's going to be interesting to me. I think all eyes are on the Steelers.
That was mine as well. So bravo. Not shocking you and I are on the same wavelength. But another one, not high on the list, but still a story is, who has more wins in New York? Justin Fields, Jets, or Russell Williams, Giants?
It's a good question. I would say neither. No, I'm just kidding. I got to pick a team. I'll go with the Giants. They're both going to be bad. They're both going to be bad. So I'm gonna say the Giants, because I'm not even sure Russ finishes the season. I think you're gonna see Jameis a bunch this year for the Giants. And to me, like, Jackson Dart's not even gonna play this year. I don't expect him to play at all. But I think the way the Giants what I'm seeing in camp is, you got Thibodeau, you got Carter. That those two ends there with the defense, their defense is much improved. They're going to give some teams in that NFC East, especially the Eagles and their Commanders, tough games again, like they always do. But now they're going to be able to stop those mobile quarterbacks.
I wouldn't jump back to hockey because we're having a great NFL discussion if we didn't get a great question come in from the audience, which we did. BW in Edmonton brings up NHL expansion. And, well, here's his question. Because when Austin gets an NHL expansion franchise, that's when Connor McDavid will leave Edmonton. He's just trying to stir it up with the canoe paddles, what he's trying to do. But, Jimmy, you are in the NHL circles. You're in the press boxes. You're in the news conferences. What do you know about the expansion? They wouldn't be talking about it if it wasn't afloat. How much is afloat?
It's coming. It's definitely coming. Atlanta, Houston, on the radar. We know what's going on in Arizona. Here's the thing. With the expansion, they have to tick all the boxes. You're not going to go back to these cities if everything is not perfect. The NHL does not want to go through what they went through in Arizona with uncertainty with ownership. They don't want to go through uncertainty what they did in Atlanta the two times that they were there, especially the last time with the Thrashers. So to me, they got to get everything right before they go in, because until everything is settled and perfect, the building, the ownership, steady ownership, get everything in place, then they'll go. And I think it's coming. I think Atlanta, Houston are the next two teams in the National Hockey League. And who knows when? I mean, I've heard murmurs of 2028, but it all depends on when they decide to formally start the expansion process.
Well, I love the talk. I do love the talk because it's going to happen. You don't follow the CFL, nor should you. But the expansion there doesn't happen, yet they still want to talk about it. No, it's happening in the NHL. The question is where. And I was with the Greek Mafia last night, and God bless Canada. They were talking about Eric. Yeah, don't worry about it. It's good. It's good. It's good. With them, you have nothing to worry about. It's good. It's good. Yeah, you never mind. That's how they talk. But they were talking about Arizona, and that owner in Arizona. You say stable ownership. He had as much money as anybody, that owner of the Arizona Coyotes, but he was a loose cannon. And the crazy thing is, who really saw Salt Lake City on the saw Salt Lake City on the radar? Nobody did. All of a sudden, boom, they got a team. So this could happen very fast too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It can happen quickly. But again, the big thing with the National Hockey League, don't make it public, right? The Salt Lake City thing was all back. That was all in the back, right? Out of the public eye. Let's get it done. Let's go through the proper channels. That's what they want to do with the expansion process. We're only hearing bits and pieces of what's coming out of Houston and Atlanta because they continue the talks. It's not in the news all the time, and that's what the NHL likes. They want to make sure it's just done the right way, get everything set, and then boom, we have a team in Salt Lake City. It's working out great. Utah Mammoth, Utah Hockey Club. I wouldn't have cared either if they kept the original name. I wouldn't have cared. I thought it sounded cool. But they're putting a good team together, and Ryan Smith's putting the resources into the team to make it successful in Utah, a la what Vinny Viola has done down in Florida with the Panthers to allow Bill Zito get that practice facility, beautiful practice facility, by the way, for the Panthers, get guys to come there. That's what we're seeing in Utah, and I think that's what other teams around the league are taking notice, especially the new teams that possibly come into this league.
All right, Jim, appreciate you so much. What's up for the rest of the holiday?
July 4th coming up. Just going to relax, take some time up in the mountains, and just relax for a little bit. It's been a busy year. It continues, and we'll get back after it after the holiday break.
All right, buddy. Well, enjoy the beautiful mountain air. Say hey to your mom, and you guys relax. If anybody deserves it, it's you, Jimmy. Thank you, brother.
Welcome, brother. Take care, everybody. Thanks for having me on, as always.
All right. From NHL Full Press, our good friend, Jersey Jim Biringer. Today is Vermont Jim Biringer. And we'll be back with a sports update and viewer takeover for the rest of the show. We're on Game Plus and streaming live.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
Shania Twain.
Let's go, girls.
Live in Moose Jaw. Shania Twain. One incredible show. Live at Temple Garden Center July 7th. With special guest Lindsay L. Get tickets Friday, March 21st at 10 a.m. at the Temple Garden Center's box office or sasktix.ca. For more, visit ShaniaTwain.com.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Hi, my name is Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
All right, it's a Thursday, the day before the 4th of July. That would make it July the 3rd. I woke up. You ever had one of those days? All morning, I thought it was July 4th today. I'm sending out messages to people. Happy 4th of July. Until I got on the radio in Amarillo this morning. They're like, Rod, what day do you think it is? Don't. So that's tomorrow, where we will be on the air on a Football Friday tomorrow. Jim Barker will be joining us in the Moose as well. But all our friends, most of them anyways, broadcasting in the U.S. will be off the air tomorrow, just like we were off the air on Canada Day here in Canada. Actually, this morning on 806 Sports, and Texas Kenny's watching right now, so I didn't tell him. I didn't have the heart to tell him at the time. They played the Canadian national anthem on the air this morning with the old version in my honor. I didn't want to be that guy and say, oh, wait a minute, our former Prime Minister Trudeau changed the words. It's no longer in all our sons, it's all of us command. That actually happened. Sports update for Heavy Jim. Day 3 of NHL free agency set to begin with teams still rounding out their rosters. Slick winger Nikolai Ehlers has yet to sign a deal. The 29-year-old Ehlers spent a decade with the Winnipeg Jets, but appears set to move on. The Calgary Stampeders host the undefeated Winnipeg Blue Bombers in CFL play tonight. It's the kickoff to Week 5. The game has been dubbed the Stampede Bowl, with a custom trophy for the game winner in homage to the Calgary Stampede, which starts tomorrow and has been a city fixture for over a century. The 2-1 Stampeders look to get back in the win column after a 20-12 loss to Ottawa last week. Really enjoyed that chat there with Jim Biringer, where we got into the business of the NHL draft and the change they made this year. I'm a fan of change. Trust me, I've had a lot in my life. I know a lot of people aren't fans of change, and that's also fine, but they don't always win. So I see the similarity between trying this Stampede Bowl. Let's try it, because what we were doing before clearly isn't working anymore. So let's give this a shot. The NHL is just getting roasted for what they did for the first round of the draft, which I'm so glad. Brent from Wellington, Florida, if you're hanging in with us, I was with Brent from Wellington, Florida, and his son here in Canada Friday night at a Western Pizza watching round 1 of the NHL draft. And for most of you would know, because you're Canadian, I would assume you watched it forever. Well, not forever. Since the 70s, because the draft started in the 60s. It's in Doug McLean's book. We should get Doug on the air and talk about that, get clarification. But ever since they've had the GMs there and the scouts on the floor of the arena, that's the way it was for decades. That's all I've ever known. And for most of you, that's all you've ever known. And then they changed that to a remote draft like the NFL. And if they'd strictly kept it to the same as the NFL, we wouldn't have had all these complaints, I don't think. But they wanted to Zoom video in the GMs from their own arenas all over North America and interview the kids, and it was awkward, and it was clunky, and it was long, and that part was bad. But again, they tried something, so I don't have a problem with that. They tried it. I think next year it'll look exactly like the NFL draft, and nobody would complain. The end. The Stampede Bowl remains to be seen how that will work out. If you haven't got a ticket yet, go. Make this a success, Calgary. The Blue Jays look to take sole possession of the top spot in the American League East when they host the New York Yankees in the finale of their 4-game set tonight. Toronto has beaten New York 3 straight, including a wild 11-9 barn burner last night. Chris Bassett is set to start for the Jays tonight with Clark Schmidt opposite him. Vladdy Jr. was once again named an All-Star. On Wednesday, the 26-year-old slugger was named the starting first baseman for the American League for the 4th time. It's going to be his 5th All-Star appearance because he wasn't a first baseman prior to that. He beat out New York Yankees star Paul Goldschmidt for the top spot, garnering 75% of the vote to take the starting spot at first base. How about that? Kevin Pillar is hanging up his cleats. The former Blue Jay center fielder announced his retirement yesterday after 13 seasons in Major League Baseball. Sports update for Heavy Jim. Your best self is just a challenge away. Push your limits, conquer your goals, and become the strongest version of you. Visit us at heavygym.ca, where transformation happens. Overtime's coming up next here. You're watching on Game Plus Television, streaming live and found on all major podcast platforms.
Hi, my name is Logan Stankoven. And I'm Connor Bedard. We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Shania Twain.
Let's go, girls.
Live in Moose Jaw. Shania Twain. One incredible show. Live at Temple Garden Center, July 7th. With special guest, Lindsay L. Get tickets Friday, March 21st at 10 a.m. at the Temple Garden Center's box office or sasktix.ca. For more, visit shaniatwain.com.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Hey, it's what we call overtime and the final segment of the program today. So many people say it's their favorite segment of the show. If you are in Calgary for the Calgary Stampede, the world's greatest outdoor show on earth, to get it correct. Stop in Overtime Hockey Lane. Say hey to Randy and Michelle, 28th Street, Northeast Calgary. It's just on your way into town when you're coming in from the east side, where skill and fun collide. If you're tired of the ruckus, you want to get out of the madness, go check out Overtime Hockey Lanes. It's their own kind of madness over there. It's an amusement park for hockey players, and I'm looking forward to seeing them later this summer, as we always do. So we've gone through the sports update. And so there's some things that I would like to discuss here that we have not yet. I will just tell you that the Western Dodge text line is always open, 902-518-3033. Western Dodge, drive with confidence. Shop Western Dodge in Moose Jaw. Financing, selection, and service you can count on. I apologize to those who have written in for questions for Jersey Jim. I just saw them now. Oh! But I told you we've got a big new affiliation with Texas, and I got to thank those that are responsible for that. I won't name them here just yet, but so I was on the radio this morning there, 107.1 FM. The show's called 806 Sports because the area code of Amarillo is 806, and we were talking about all the movement in NHL free agency. And at some point, I'm sure once the NFL season really kicks off, we'll talk more on that show, NFL. They just wanted to talk NHL today, which is kind of funny because it's July, Texas. They were all over it. They wanted to talk about Glenn Gulutzan being named the head coach of the Dallas Stars and what I thought about that. And I was like, well, shucks. I know Glenn personally. This is his second tour of duty with the Dallas Stars. I think a lot of people know that, but a lot of people don't. He's from Hudson Bay, Saskatchewan, the moose capital of the world. We're the exact same age, and he used to play for these Moose Jaw Warriors. And I said, well, number one, I felt he was fired unjustly the first time in Dallas, but that's just me. Number two, he's been the head coach of the Calgary Flames since. He's been the assistant coach of the Edmonton Oilers since. Back-to-back trips to the Stanley Cup. I can tell you that Glenn, in both experiences, learned what to do and also what not to do, which is very important when you become in a leadership position, of having learned what to do and what not to do, plus learning from your own mistakes. My God, could you imagine if we had the chance to go back to a place where we were fired before with the opportunity to do it all over again? That's what Glenn has in Dallas. And I said, secondly, you want to talk about unjust firings. I said they just fired Peter DeBoer, Western Conference final appearance, guns. And they're like, oh, yeah, we were all shocked by that. It's Texas, so they're following their hockey team. Shocking. And that's not even the point. We talked about all these one-year deals. It's head-spinning, like Jake Allen re-upping in New Jersey for 1 year. I get that BW might have lost that, or Nate Schmidt just wins the Stanley Cup with Florida, cashes in Utah. Corey Perry. I think it's more than 1 year in LA for Corey Perry, but you get the concept is the players switching teams like crazy. And I said, guys, again, too many granola bars. I said, guys, is this bad for the game? And they said, well, no, but it's kind of bad for the fans because you buy a jersey for $325. I don't know what you're paying, but that's what it is in the jersey shop for the Florida Panthers, $325 US. You're talking over $450 for a jersey for a guy that could be gone in a year. So I said, to be honest with you, that's what's I would think is bad for the game. Not the players moving around, but the price gouging of fans, which I don't hear anybody complain about at all. So Navy Dawn, this is what got me going on my soapbox here, which incidentally, I'm as all for people making as much money as possible. Not corporations necessarily, individuals, but whatever. Life's about choices. Navy Dawn writes in and he says, soon it'll only be the sons of NHL stars who will be able to afford to play. Welcome to the NBHL, Nepo Baby NHL. I don't even know what that means, but I kind of have an idea. What's bad, I would think, for the sport is the cost of the sport to the fans. And they got talking about, the name, the patches on the jerseys and the advertising. All the salaries just keep going up, 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 and up. But the arenas are full. People are paying thousands of dollars per ticket per game. And nobody's complaining. So, I mean, if you haven't figured out by now, if you're going to go buy a jersey of a franchise great. Like when I went and got a Rider jersey, I got the jersey of my favorite all-time Rider, Jeff Fairholm. He wasn't going anywhere. Number 18. 23 Lancaster is always good as well. Regarding the Stampede Bowl tonight, Rich in Edmonton writes in and he says, looked up tickets for tonight just now. Not bad for a Stamps game. Don says, props to the Stampeders for trying to change the channel on their attendance woes. What it takes is, it's, again, longer conversation than we have time for here, but you look at the media in Calgary, they just don't talk about the Stampede. That's what it is. Do we understand? People are into the Blue Jays right now. The media is talking about them. They're winning. All of a sudden, the Rogers Center is going to be full. In Calgary, nobody talks about the Stampeders. I've spent enough time there. You know that, Calgary. Don't get mad at me for saying the truth. I blame the media 9 times out of 10 for the Calgary Stampeders role. Everybody wants to blame CSEC, Calgary Sports Entertainment Group, for not spending, or CSEG, spending time, whatever the hell it is, spending enough on marketing. The media just doesn't talk about them. Stampeders, in my mind, haven't built the bridges. That's what I think. Sorry. To the media and the community. It's a big mess that they're trying to sort out. And the next step is the Stampede Bowl tonight. We'll all be watching. Yeah. Rich in Edmonton says, I only get vintage jerseys. Gretzky, Jim Plunkett. That's what I'm saying. We'll see you all tomorrow, noon Eastern, for a fabulous Football Friday. It's going to be great. Take care, everyone.
Now I'm the whore and the pimp. That's where the money is.
How about that?